sir. Looking sharp per usual.
Thank you, man.
Man, Rocha versus Curiel. Great fight. Again, another fight that Golden Boy's putting on their guys against guys who are threats in their own stable.
Definitely threat.
Yeah, like they're both.
Even up.
It's a very 50-50 fight,
Correct.
I feel like. Just break it down for me.
Yeah, I mean, whoever comes with the best plan, whoever execute the best plan round by round, as long as it lasts at least, will be victorious. This is not a walkthrough for either guy. And to close out the year with your name in the lights going into 2025, it's a momentum. Just think about this. Most people remember the end of the book than reading the first of the book, the first chapters of the book. And this is one of those books that's been written by Golden Boy this year in 2024. So you say the best, not necessarily for last, but you say the best for the commercialism of Society of Boxing to be able to say they want to see this guy fight again in 2025, whether it's February, whether it's March. I didn't forget January, but at least going in 2025, the winners of this card, this fight that stands out, will be back before the spring of next year. We know that's the way boxing go. So they get a chance to make a statement, as I mentioned on stage earlier. They get a chance to make a statement going into 2025, which I believe is an exciting time of the year to close out the year with focus on boxing going into 2025. That's key.
I know, just like you said, going into 2025, I feel like the biggest card, maybe one of the biggest cards we've seen in a while, February 22nd. You guys got two fighters on there in big, tough fights. I want to talk about Kid Austin first. I know you're close with him. You've gone to the gym with him.
Yep.
He's a stud.
Possibly go again.
Right. I feel like it was a big risk on your part to put, obviously with Kid Austin as well, I'm sure they pushed for it. But, I mean, this is a fight that, Shakur campaign didn't want to fight. No one's trying to fight Shakur, and Kid Austin raised his hand and pushed for it.
But I don't think nobody actually wants to fight Shakur. Shakur is vulnerable, just like every fighter is vulnerable when they step in that ring. But I think it was more of the maturity of where they at in their career and based on their performances. That's how I believe, and it's been like that for years, but not just because it's been like that. I think from my perspective, only speaking for me, is that I evaluate the last fight, the last two fights, and possibly the last three fights. And then I look at, okay, he's going up against XYZ. Is it too much of a knowledge and understanding, a barrier or distance between both guys? And I really still believe that. But in saying that, I support our guy, and our guy is Kid Austin. Maybe they know something I don't know. I be rooting for Kid Austin to win. Can he win? Anything is possible in boxing. Do we have talent and young enough and strong enough to win? One punch can change everything. But if you asking me a question where you are comfortable always and I give you something that I believe in and we okay, then you should be reserved to hear something one day. I might say, I don't agree, or I don't think right now. And that's men. We can agree to disagree, but at the end of the day, it's only my opinion. But if I go past that and say that I'll take it personal, then it's not business. This is business, and this is where they want to go, direction they want to go, and me and Oscar support that. But they did ask us. They did ask me. And I spoke clearly about it, and I'll leave that alone. But now that we move to the next stage where the fight is happening, that's what they want. We support them. And the chips might fall where they might lay.
I talked to Eric. He seemed to, kind of feel like he would have preferred another two fights or so, but I guess we are where we are, right? He's fighting, but credit to him, credit to Kid Austin.
And listen. Listen. I don't look at certain things being like actually black and white, because certain things ain't black and white, but it's real. Could be real sensitive. It could be real emotional if you let it get that way. We are promoters, and promoters do the good ones with the fighter wants. In this case, this what the fighter wants, along with this corner. From my understanding, we're going to support that. But when you ask what do I think? I'm gonna give you my professional and also experience response.
We'll see where the chips may fall, man. It's a great fight. Obviously, I want to get to the Vergil Madrimov fight. Another great fight. Vergil back to back with Boacek and Israil Madrimov. Man, it's incredible. It's a tough fight. That's a really, really tough fight.
Listen, we want the tough fights. They want the tough fights. I mean, if they don't want the tough fights, then we can't even get off base one. So, like I said with the kid Austin, this what they asked for. This what they want. This was presented. They chopped at the bit for it, and now we're here talking about tough fights and fights that's not in their favor based on popularity of conversation. But these are the fights that you dare to be great, that the promoter says, that any promoter, that they want to bring the best fights, the best matchup to the boxing fans. You can't, your bluff, you get your bluff, you will get your bluff called, will be called very, very fast in this sport. If you continue to say things and don't really deliver when it comes to fighters fighting the best on your side, fighting the best on their side. And that's where the bluff won't be called, because we want all the bluff callers.
Right? Yeah, let's see, right? Let's see.
We want all the bluff callers.
Man, the main event of that, hey.
Freddie C. Good happy holiday too.
Hey,
Freddie.
Used to train you.
Yes, Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
me and Freddie is 1-1. I should have been 2-1.
All right, we were talking about Freddie Roach. You said he trained you, I believe, at light heavyweight.
Light heavyweight, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That card that we were just talking about with Kid Austin and all that, man, that main event, the rematch, Beterbiev versus Bivol. The first fight, did you think the right man won, and how does it play out the second time around?
I think it was controversial, but I think to do it over, and I did mention up on stage that, whether it's on the Golden Boy side or whether it's on any other side, I believe that it's up to the sanctioning bodies and the commission when the judges get it wrong, because that's who judges the fight, obviously, 3 judges ringside. When they get it wrong, we don't have replay. We don't have, a huddle somewhere in the corner the night of or whatever, or and the action is going. You take a break and you look at cards. No, things got to keep rolling. I get it. But it must be some accountability on what 3 judges seen and they watching the same fight, but the score is so lopsided that there's a problem of credibility. And so what you do, I say first you do background checks on people, mortgages and stuff like that for big fights. On big fights, and you see any kind of debt that's owed or anything that has something to do with somebody can be breached or somebody can be compromised. I think automatically to be a promoter, to be a judge or to be a referee on big fights, start off with the biggest fights, you must be willing freely to do a background check based on finances, based on outstanding 3-4 back payment car notes or mortgages. I think that when you look at situations where it's just ridiculous of how the margin was so wide when a fight was so different based on the world and who's at the arena sees, it's a problem of credibility that's been dormant in boxing for decades. To me, I see an easy fix. It's just having the right people, politician or non, the right particular mouthpiece, which is me, to continue to bang the drums and continue to pull the covers off these people who want to keep boxing in the conversation of, well, that's just boxing. No, we ain't playing that. Times are different. Times should be different, and the right person got to step up, and then we'll make things happen. But it takes time. You got to have patience. But I think that every big fight, I'm going to say it again, I think that every big fight that goes on should be, and y'all should listen to this, excuse me, listen to this real quick. I think every major super fight, or every fight really that matters when it comes to elevating the fighter in every weight class, to become big and a lot of risk and a lot of, things that can happen from this particular fight going forward. Every judge that's appointed to that fight, every referee appointed to that fight should be willing to give up a volunteer background financial check to see if any of the judges or the referee are back on a mortgages, car notes, or any debt that they can own as publicly can be. They have to turn over records, because a lot of times when we look at fights and you see such a wide margin of veteran judges, we're not talking about somebody just start judging 2 years ago, 3. They don't even put them in that position. None of the sanctioned bodies put somebody on a big fight that's only been judging a year or 2. So these judges have experience, correct? If it's not a breach somewhere, if it's not something that's compromised somewhere, personally, then I believe everyone that signs up to be a judge, signs up to be a referee, should be willing to give a voluntarily financial background check for any possibility of breach that won't happen. And look, I mean, I ain't the smartest person in the world. I just thought about that overnight when I was asleep last night.
It's a good one. Last one. I know you were asked about Ryan Garcia over there. Just I don't know what's going on with that fight in Japan, but I more want to ask about just what do you see next for Ryan? Obviously, the suspension's done in April. He seems to be itching to fight. Obviously, he has that exhibition planned in Japan. Just is there an opponent, maybe a weight class?
Sky's the limit. I mean, as many fighters, I don't necessarily call them opponent. I think that there's some fights in that division up to in a notch, and I don't know about down too much. I don't think Ryan wanted to even go there unless it's meaningful. But I think that Ryan has an opportunity to do with what he wants to do in the weight division up or down. To me, there are 2 people in boxing, 3 really, that have an opportunity to do what they really want to do and fight the big fights going forward. Canelo, Ryan, and Tank Davis. I mean that those 3 right there has. I mean, to me, they the 3 in boxing. To me, that actually matter on a superstar status where they can pick and choose in that division who they want to fight, and it'd be big. It's going to be big because they got to have a dance partner that's just as big too. Not just as big, but big enough.
Right.
Big enough.
For it to sell.
Now, just as big is a treat for us. It's a treat for boxing. I mean, that's the perfect scenario. But they got to be at least credible enough where, the fans want to buy it.
Right. We'll see.
2025 is going to be one of the great ones we see every year. Every year, the next one, the next one, the next one. But one thing that I believe that everybody that's here in this circle here, in this media circle, is that the momentum has started. The whether you agree of anything I said in this interview, the momentum has started going forward. And it ain't just started this year. The momentum started in 2023. Really, think about it. It started in 2023. We had a full year of some hell of a fights. 2025, I believe, is going to be just as good. If you're in competition with year after year after year after year, we win.
In a good place.
Come on, man. We're in a great place. We're in a great place. You see, listen, this ain't promotion. This is real. Right. Because I understand the majority of the problem in boxing was fighters not fighting each other, and it wasn't just because the fighter is scared. He's scared to say he's scared. The fighter ain't gonna tell the world he ain't gonna fight somebody in his weight class because he's scared and he's talking about he a fighter and he wanna be a Hall of Famer and all that. A lot had to do with the business behind it, the people behind it. They was greedy. They had to negotiate for themselves first before the fighter get a chance to say, hey, I'll take the fight. I'll take the $5 million, but he won 8. The one ain't taking punches, won 8. Hoping he gets 6.5. That means 6.5. So now that seemed not to be a problem, majority of business people, the snakes, they got to go ahead and do this. They got to kiss the ring. They got to kiss the ring. They got to kiss the rings. His Excellency.
Bernard, good seeing you, brother. Thank you.
Real quick. Wait, well, no, I've been waiting. Hold on.